Hello and welcome to another video from Zeno and the Sports Card Underground. I wanted to walk everybody through a few of the um, Facebook groups that I use in what I refer to as the Facebook Underground. So what I want to say is that I started back in card collecting probably about 5 years ago. And for probably the first year and a half, I was very focused and just, I went to breakers. I was buying from certain breakers. I did all my breaks online. Some of my favorite breakers at the time were Jaspys and Mojo breaks. I still love Mojo breaks. They're one of my favorite breakers. I love the hype, by the way. I'll just put a plug out for those guys. But it was probably after about a year and a half, a friend of mine finally convinced me, check out what's going on at Facebook, how easy it is to buy, sell, trade, and break cards on Facebook. And what I also found too is that prices in Facebook groups are a lot better than I found in some of the larger breakers. Now, I'm not gonna go through the reasons for that, but again, you'll see there's a lot of what I refer to as homemade breakers. People are just breaking online or breaking the comfort of their own house. So there's a large group of those on Facebook. When I did come into the Facebook community, I use the alias ZiggyNo. A few things I will recommend is that you have to build up your reputation. People don't know who you are on the internet and in Facebook groups. A lot of these groups are private groups. You have to be invited into them. Some of them you have to be vouched for. Because again, when you're buying, selling, trading, you want to know who you're dealing with, and trust is a very important thing. So what I'll say is, in every Facebook group you go, read the rules, respect the rules, and remember you're building a reputation for today and into tomorrow. So beware, there are some bad fish out there, but for the most part, I've had a very, very good relationship, a great time out here using Facebook groups. So let me go ahead and pull up my screen here, and I'm going to start with so a good Facebook group that I recommend as an early start just to get into the hobby is ACG, Anything Collectible Goes. It's a private group, which means you have to get approved to get in, but I don't think they require vouching to get in. I think I can add you in if you wanted to as well. So if I know you, you can send me a PM and I can help get you in. But a few things, the group was founded in 2016. It's got about, I think 20,000 members. You can read some information about it. These guys post everything from toys to cards to comic books, but you can find it all here. Go to the discussion group. You can see some of the posts that have come out recently. This is just a very good group for getting a sense of what's going on in the community. Members, you can check the members. One thing I recommend it to do is you'll realize every group has moderators and admins. If you have any questions, please reach out to these guys. They're all good. They'll all get back to you. They're all volunteer as far as I know to each of these groups, but they are very active and will help direct you or answer your question. But again, read the rules, be respectful of every group. So let's say you open a bunch of cards and you want to sell them. Anything Collectible is a great place. You can come, you can post cards and sell those cards. You can see people post fire sales here. I don't know if they do razzing, but you'll see razzing here. People post hits. They'll ask questions. It's just a good overall group for everybody. What's another great group that I love is the Facebook One of One group, One of One Sports Cards. Another wonderful group. What's cool about this group is if you're kind of bored and you want some card porn, go check out One of One. And you can see some of the cool hits have been pulled, right? Look at that nasty patch on that guy I've never heard of who will probably never play very long. Here's a cool, Daniel Jones. Looks like, God, look at that patch. Beautiful stuff. You also see the breaker who pulled it. So you'll see sometimes breakers will post a card. Sometimes the owners will post a card. The breaker's showing off. Like the cool thing about 101, it's really a fishing site. I'm basically showing off. Hey, look what I pulled. Look what I hit. Look what I got. And it gives people an opportunity to buy, sell, and trade. You saw back here in the Daniel Jones one, the guy has, or I'm sorry, right here in Daniel Jones, the guy has a price out there. He's fishing a price. Even if he wants to buy it. A Daniel Jones fan might be dying for that NFL shield. He might be willing to, pony up some cash. Which leads me to the next part. When you start buying and selling, you're going to realize that you need to have established trust. So there's two ways you can do that. You can either be trusted through past transactions, or you can have people vouch for you. You'll also see some of the groups require people to be vouched in. They won't let you in. And vouching means that I'm basically going to let my friend Frank in, but if Frank screws anything up, I'm going to cover his debts. I'm going to cover him from my own pocket. So keep that in mind when you vouch for people. You're basically vouching with your own wallet. So next group I'm going to focus on here is a very important group. Sports Card Exposed. This is a Sports Card Scammers Exposed. Great group. Again, if you want to read and kind of get a sense of what's going on, you can see when the group was created, number of users, what there's about this group. I want to say there's like 20,000. Listen where the numbers are. But a great group, lots of people, and people come here and post. Now, for the video, I'm not going to go in details here of each one of these. You can read it yourself, but Jim Cuddy Hecksha has a problem with, it looks like Cassie, and he's calling out what he did, what the problem was. He shares the text messages, whatever it might be. It's a great place to research. So good friend of mine, I like Ryan. He's obviously had a problem. He's posted what the challenges were. So if I read Ryan's had a problem, I'm probably going to go and see, do I have this guy in any of my groups? Because Ryan and I do a lot of business. If I got this guy as a friend, I probably want to boot him. If he's in my groups, I probably want to boot him, right? So check out this group. There's a lot of great content here. Announcements and what's going on. Read the rules here. So if I'm not going to read these rules. I'll show you another example, but you can check this out. Again, they have an admin team here as well. One of the best resources, though, that I love sports card scammers exposed for is that they have a database. So I go over here to the database page. A few things first. Number one, it gives you kind of a list of an alphabetical of scams, what they were. So if I look at this first one, here's Aaron Reif, negative, who reported him, what the issue was, poor shipping, failed and failing to want to compensate buyer when cards were as damaged. After being called out, he only refunded $5 of the $17. Now, again, you might look at that and go, okay, there's more to it. And you might still deal with Aaron, but it's good to know this information. You might find that Aaron has a couple challenges here. So let's just see. Looks like he's only showing up in that one. There's another reference to him here. I don't know where that is, but anyway, again, you can search this. One thing I'll show real quickly. If you're adding a member to your group or you're doing a transaction with somebody, I recommend coming to Scanner's database and checking them out. So if you're doing a deal with this guy named Ziggy now, hey, check and see if he's there. He's not. Yay. I'm even going to use my real name, Ziggy now, and see if he's there. So I'm not. So again, this just gives you a quick background check on who they are and have they been involved in any issues or scams in the past. And I will say too, guys, I've actually done some transactions with people that I found in scammers that when I confronted them about it, we talked through what it was that they had an issue and what their point was. And I still went forward and did business with them. And I found that the business was fine. I mean, there's some guys who did something that was questionable, like this guy here with the, the bad shipping. He might be a really good guy. It's just, you should be aware of who you're dealing with. Another great resource that I just saw recently that honestly I've not used yet, but I'm probably going to implement is this eBay block list. This is awesome. They basically kept a list of all the bad eBay usernames, right? So you can drop this list into your eBay store and not deal with those people anymore, not have to sell, not buy from them. And there could be a lot of reasons why they're on that list. So, I'm not saying just dump that whole list, but I think it's a great resource. And I think it's also power of this community. One thing that's cool about the Facebook Underground is that it's self-regulated, right? The communities come together. Like, for example, I have a lot of good friends where if they see somebody who's questionable in one of my conversations or something, they'll say, hey, Mike, do you know that Frank, had a bad pass or had a bad transaction, Frank? They'll communicate with you. So I can't stress how important this community is and sharing, good and bad stories. Which reminds me, let me take you over to one of my favorite groups and one of the groups I first started with. This is probably the first group I joined. It was Showcase Basketball Cards, Buy, Sell, and Trade. These guys do not allow what we're referred to as contests or razzing. The admin here, Scott Payne's a friend of mine. He's phenomenal, great, admin to ask questions. He runs his group really well. In fact, there's a place on here where they keep feedback of transactions. I forget where it is. It's right here, I believe. So feedback ratings. So they actually have a feedback. When you do a transaction with somebody, you can actually rate that person in your group, which I think is phenomenal. That's why Showcase is one of my favorite. They're a long-term group. They also have a very detailed rules, right? So you can look at all these rules. You can read through the rules. I'm not going to do that right now. But like I said, every Facebook group you go to, you want to read the rules, understand what you can and can't do, right? Some groups don't want you to post pictures without, in fact, here's one of the perfect ones. Don't post a picture, this card's for sale, and not post the price, right? Because you're basically fishing to see what people are going to offer you. They want you to post prices. Another thing you'll hear people talk about is coin the card, which means show proof that the card is in your possession, right? Not that the breaker has it, or not that you just bought it on eBay and you want to resell it, or you stole a picture and you're not real. Show that you have it in possession. So maybe you use your business card with a picture of the card or a coin with the card, but something that's showing that you actually own the card. So big fan of this group. I mentioned ACG, anything collectible goes, but if you're looking at basketball, I'd say start with Showcase. It's a great place to get in. I believe it is a private group, but I do think it is open to members. Again, learn more there. Another group, real quickly, I want to hit on because I know the owner here, a good friend of mine, and I think he has a great service that he basically built as a Facebook group, and that's Ship My Cards. He does a lot of international business where you have a lot of international buyers and sellers who want to buy cards, but they don't want to pay each time for the card for shipping. Like if I buy a $25 card, it costs me $25 to ship it back to Australia. That's a pain, but I might buy the card, have it shipped to my friend here, oh, what's this guy's name? Is it Brian, right? If I ship it to Brian, then Brian can hold those cards for people, and then he ships it all to the individual. So I strongly recommend checking out Ship My Cards. But again, this is another example of how the Facebook community kind of self-manages, right? There was a need for how do I help international users buy from the U.S. market without being, charged for every shipping. This is a great organic business that was built around that. So real quickly, just to kind of walk back, highlight again, I mentioned the 101 group. Check that out. Bookmark Sports Card Scammers, a great group to keep an eye on and make sure you stay out of it, at least as a bad person. Definitely post if you have issues. Check out the eBay block list. It's off their website. The Showcase is one of my favorite basketball groups. There are a lot of others, guys. I'll do some follow-up videos going into more detail about what groups I go to, why I sell the cards of that group, or why I would list a card in different groups. There's basketball groups, there's football groups, there's baseball groups, there's soccer groups, there's hockey groups. There's groups for everybody. I touched on Ship My Cards. I love saying that, Ship My Cards. And then I talked about anything collectible goes. So I hope this video was helpful for you. I hope you got some good use out of this. And I look forward to your comments and feedback. I will be doing some future videos looking at different breakers that I use, different other websites I go to, other resources in the Facebook Underground. My site, if you're not familiar with, I don't know why I didn't pull it up, is Sports Card Underground with Ziggy. And that group is simply just an information group. All I do there is just share information about what's going on in the hobby. I'll share when releases are coming out or when first off the line. I'll give you my opinions. My sons and I will break boxes in there. There's no selling in that group, but it's open to anybody. You have to request, and I'll pretty much let anybody in, but I need to see who you are. Anyway, I hope this video was useful. Really appreciate your time. Have a great day, and thank you.